through meditation or, right?
Can I interject something in there?
Sure.
Because what I've seen through most businesses and success models is that it works out to be 80% psychological and 20% methodological. You know, we can all learn how to do something, but there are a lot of people out there learn, you know, get the education, they don't use it. And so, and then empowerment and the mental health and all those things, you know, definitely fall into that same realm. It is all our psychological, how we handle it psychologically.
You just struck a total thought for me. Yeah. Be, do, have. Most people focus right here on the have part. Right. But it's who you get to be, it's the psychological, the beingness, who you're being in the moment will dictate what you do and therefore what you have, the results that you have. But most people focus right here first so that they miss this point that if I shift who I'm being, my mental state of mind, the psychology behind it, my beliefs, and therefore what I do based on that changes, and therefore my results change. And so that's something that perhaps should be a concept that we could somehow work into this. I don't know how we're going to do it yet. So if you had to pick something in what would be a huge problem out there, what would be something that people really, really want to get solved or anything?
In the United States right now, obesity.
Okay, so weight. What else?
You said back pain
earlier. Wealth. Back pain, wealth.
Stress management.
Stress.
Peace of mind.
Oh, that's not it. Okay. So what is it that do we want to pick one? Or, I mean, what you notice now is that these are starting to become the benefit bullet points for our sales letter. Do you follow me? So if somebody's going to sign up, they're going to come to our landing page, there's going to be some main benefit that, or something that's going to grab their attention, sensationalized headline that's got the promise of a story. Then we're going to go into some sort of a story. Remember the 9-step formula? And we're going to go into a story, then we're going to get some bullet points. Well, the bullet points are going to be, if we're going to have some sort of a promise that encompasses, you know, like let's say we did something along the lines of working on the psychological, you know, the power of the mind, and like Think and Grow Rich did. I mean, that's in essence what Think and Grow Rich was. What you call it? Well, Conversations with God is another one similar. You could in essence say that we're going to deal with the main concept here, and the benefits are all of these things. If you change your mental come from, then you change everything. So I mean, now you're starting to see what's developing here, at least in my head. We're starting to develop the main theme of what we can talk about here, of what we're going to germinate here. And now we're starting to, we're coming up with different ideas of where it can go. Make sense?
Yep, right.
Okay, so let's talk some more. Throw out some more. I'm sorry?
Don't we need to focus more
Yep.
on one?
Yeah, we're still very nebulous. That's okay though.
Trying to clarify here the product we're going to create, right?
Yeah, or the methodology or the model. I mean, the offer. I mean, what you guys are just killer at is coming up with the offer. So I mean, that is kind of central to what we're talking about. I know this is a nebulous process right now, but I'm just trying. Our brain really doesn't think linearly. It is very tangential. And so what I'm trying to do is I'm just getting it all out. And now my brain is starting to link up patterns. And I'm sure yours are too, and they're looking the same, they're looking different. But then what I do is I look for the pattern, and then sooner or later when we start coming up with all, pop, you know, I get it. Now I got something that I can work with. Makes sense? And then the headline, you know, comes easier, you know, once you get the concept, and then the offer, and then you're done. I mean, at that point, you've got the whole framework there of where you're going to go with this thing. And then it's just a matter of, okay, what's my to-do list, and let me just get it done. So,
what I'm thinking right now is, like, create something that's based on just one of these, like, how to fix your back pain by changing the B part of who you are. Like,
okay.
how you think. then once you create something like that, a product like that, it's real easy to just change back pain, scratch that out, and put in weight. Or all of a sudden you like have the basis of your product, and you just
So you want to niche it right from the get-go. Cool.
quickly modify it for all these specific niches.
I think that's a great way to approach it, what you just described. Create the sales letter, the offer first, see where it takes you, then worry about creating the product after you got the sales.
Make the promise and then back up to it. Okay, now I got to create what I've just promised. That's how I created NPOD. I knew what I wanted it to do. I knew what the goal was when John and I were playing this out. And I'll never forget the day that it hatched for me, is that I sat down with John. I said, all right, we've been talking about this. I've got the core of what I want. I sat down and we booked the hotel room for where we shot that video so that I had a deadline that I had to work towards. And I had to have it done so that we could then, I could present the seminar. And then I had another deadline. So I kept putting the deadlines in place. And it was, but it backed up. I went from A to Z, and then I figured out, I made A meet Z and backed up to it, as opposed to, you know, kind of methodically having to know everything that was going on forward. And by the way, I don't recommend doing what I did for your first time out. If this is your, I mean, this is a huge undertaking, what I've done, because, but I've done that before. We're talking about something very simple here, of building a database and a niche. And I love Kevin's idea of niching it, because what that does is that you have an immediate cash flow in multiplied. So if you get one working in any one of these niches and it becomes popular, then you literally do exactly what Kevin said, and you niche it for everything else very, very quickly. I mean, you do a search and replace almost. And you know, everywhere that it says back pain, insert wealth, and you know, and do some minor editing, and boom, you've got another product and another model, and you just target it accordingly. That could be powerful. That could be very powerful, very quickly, and extremely profitable.
You can even be branded by that, like Joe Vitale and his hypnotic anything.
Or like NPOD?
Huh?
Or like NPOD?
Or like NPOD too.
Yeah, okay. So what else? Do we want to brainstorm some more niches, or do we want to brainstorm some more, where do we want to go from here?
We can add a few more on there.
Okay. Any ideas popping up?
Then we work on clarifying the headline,
Okay.
sales letter.
So if we were going to pick one niche to start with that we want to think about, and then are we on agreement that we're going to talk about some of the psychological things be, do, have, and that type of thing, like the mental game first?
I think you have to on that.
Okay.
I'll start there.
All right. So that we start. We have the main umbrella over this is what goes on in the mind dictates everything in our life. That's the core theme, right? So let's write that down. Core. What goes on in our mind dictates our results. Life, etc. So that's what our kind of our core thought right now is, right?
So you can start with any of those. You start with weight.
I think you got either weight or back pain.
I was 50 pounds overweight until I learned the 7 roadblocks that kept me from taking off the weight.
Okay, cool. Now what if you don't have a weight problem? Now does that mean that you shouldn't work in this niche? No, not necessarily. Go on Elance and find somebody that can write you what you need to have written. Get a bid. Go do some research. Find out some, go to the library for a weekend and, get every book on weight loss and just highlight things. I mean, you just come up with a list. See, what a lot of these books you'll find is that there's a lot of fluff in it. So if you just go and pull the core concepts, all of a sudden you're an expert on the area.